I beg to move that all the business on today's order paper be exempted from the provisions of paragraph 2 of Standing Order 10.
The question is that all the business on today's order paper be exempted from the provisions of paragraph 2 of Standing Order 10. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it.
Statements by Ministers none. Public Bill, second reading.
Dr. the Honorable Ramtuhal.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, it is with a deep sense of pride and purpose that I rise today in this August Assembly to express my unwavering support for the visionary budget 25-26 presented by the Honorable Prime Minister, Dr. Navin Ramgoolam. I wish to begin by saluting his leadership, supported by the Deputy Prime Minister, Honorable Béranger, and foresight in proposing a budget that not only meets the immediate challenges of our time, but sets in motion a bold and transformative vision for our country. A vision aptly captured in the theme, Abyss to Prosperity, rebuilding the bridge to the future. This budget, Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, is not merely a fiscal exercise, but a courageous statement of economic reconstruction. It is a roadmap for a stronger, smarter, more resilient and inclusive Republic of Mauritius. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, we are living in a VUCA world. V for volatility, U for uncertainty, C for change, and A for ambiguity. Internationally, there are a lot of challenges, whether it is at the social front, financial front, or even with regards to the political climate. And if Mauritius is to do well as a society, as a community, as a nation, we have no other choice but to become a more resilient society. We have seen over the last 10 years that, an Honorable gentleman mentioned that yesterday, instead of teaching people how to fish, we have been giving them fish as a meal, thus rendering the population within the framework of a mindset that is more of assisting. So it's an assisted mindset, and the need for government help has sort of become a right. And that has to develop, that has to change. A serious fundamental change needs to be brought. And now coming to the issue with regards to the payment of the pension. Today, 26% of our budget, 26% of our budget is being occupied by the BRP. And it's important to mention, a lot of statistics have been mentioned in this House. Already in 2023, 20% of the population was aged more than 60. And by 2057, 35% of the population would be in that age bracket. This means a lot of financial pressure on today's BRP model. And the ratio in 2017 was 5 workers or 5 contributors to 1 retiree. And there's a lot of pressure on that ratio with an aging population. If we leave it as it is, by the year 2037, it will be only 2.4 contributor to 1 retiree. And this is obviously, and as it has been stated severally in this House, it is unsustainable. And we are all aware of the sword of Damocles. Moody's is watching us. It's good to realize what happens in case we do get relegated to the junk status. It has been mentioned, but I feel it is important to repeat that for the population. We would be suffering from high interest rates on our loans. And what could be paid in terms of pension could largely be consumed by loans, because a lot of Mauritian families are burdened by loans. There would be capital outflows because our investors would want to go explore other shores, and an inevitable depreciation or further depreciation of the Mauritian rupee, including additional pressure or bringing additional pressure on our ménages. Loss of confidence of investors in Mauritius as a land for investment, and obviously a higher rate of inflation with a reduction in our purchasing power. So if the system is maintained as it is, these actions or these implications would be almost inevitable. Actually, I should rather remove the word almost. And we salute the decision of this government, and we strongly stand by the decision of this government to reform the pension system. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, it thrusts into prominence that information and communication technology is not bolted on this budget, but it is inherent to each and every ministry and their strategic objectives. In the past, ICT was seen more as an expense item on the budgets, but as from this budget, ICT is seen as a value add, as a driver. Because ICT is here to drive this society towards a digital democracy through digital inclusion while constructing equitable opportunities for our people. We are in an era where the pace of technological advancement is unprecedented. Digital technologies are reshaping our society, the economy, and disrupting the way business models and even governments work. And in this context, the Ministry of IT stands not merely as an enabler, but as a driver for digital transformation. It is in this spirit that we launched the blueprint. And as we said, the bridge to the future, Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, will be digital. And at the heart of this budget lies a bold affirmation. Artificial intelligence is not in the future. It is the present, as also stated by Honorable Suko. This technology, it used to be a science fiction. It was in the realm of science fiction. But now it is helping in healthcare. It is helping fight crime. It is also helping protect children online from online harms. However, and as the leader of the opposition himself mentioned, that there is the flip side to artificial intelligence. But the question that we have is what was done in the past to protect this nation from the flip side of artificial intelligence. We cannot also forget the failed attempt of the MSM government to bring AI to the Mauritian landscape through the 2018 strategy paper, which featured 40 recommendations, but not a single recommendation was implemented. What was implemented, Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, was the idea that a lot of what Mr. Moustache presented in the past was generated by AI. They tried to make people believe that it was all generated, and since then, a lot of people have some form of apprehension with regards to this technology. But we are reinstating confidence in the minds of people that AI is here to help the people. And with regards to the legislation, Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, it does seem that the budget was read by the leader of the opposition selectively. And why do I say this? I say this because it is clearly stated in the blueprint that a framework is being developed to govern not just the usage, but also the development of artificial intelligence. And the very people who made this nation believe that all those that Mr. Moustache presented was AI, and they are the very people who today are coming and standing by the nation, claiming to be the messiah of the people, especially in the case of the pension issue. It's good for us to know that there are some people behind who are pulling the string. At least some people are getting to pull the string. And it has been really sad to see that not enough justice was done to this technology that we call AI. And there have been several other failures of the MSM government with regards to digitalization. And it is time to change. It is now time to change. And this budget sets the tone. Firstly, the provision of 25 million rupees to kickstart a public sector AI program. The first time ever measure for this. And this is a direct investment in equipping all ministries with AI tools to enhance policy making and service delivery. Such measures, Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, directly fuel our ambition to accelerate the implementation of intelligent automation. And to deliver the above, there is a need for data, volume, variety, and velocity. In as much as first efforts of digitalization, back then called computerization, started in 1977. With the establishment of the then data processing division, we have seen very reduced efforts in the last 10 years. But this government takes AI very seriously, and this is why the budget establishes an AI unit within my ministry to consolidate information from various other ministries, and this AI unit and the data or information that will be accumulated there will provide for data-driven policy formulation. The government collects data from various touch points on a daily basis, but that remains siloed and duplicated. And in order to avoid that, we are establishing what we call as a citizen data hub. This will be the single source of truth for all citizen information. And this measure will help us do more with less in a time where we are really constrained by budget. While AI is helping humanity, it is, as we said, critical to govern the development and use of it. Therefore, in the budget speech, the Honourable Prime Minister made reference to the blueprint, as we said. And it is important to note that in the UK, they have taken the approach of a principles-based regulation for AI, while in the European Union, they have taken a risk-based approach. Therefore, discussions need to take place in order to find out what would be the right way forward for Mauritius. And AI for us is not just a statement. It is a philosophy. And we want to ensure that the approach that we take to regulate AI will be human-centric, innovation-friendly, transparent. It will have the element of accountability, fairness, and robustness. Every Mauritian will be included in this transformation through enablement and empowerment in order to build a future-ready nation. And in order to stimulate private sector growth, my ministry will engage with the private sector operators to establish virtual labs and fab labs to democratize access to AI platforms for all, and especially for research and development. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, it is a cardinal fault of the MSM government not to have established what we call as a disaster recovery site. As we took office, we realized this blunder. And very quickly we initiated efforts to establish the DR site. And I'm pleased to say that with the support of the Prime Minister, we have been able to define the right way forward, and very soon we will have that DR site. So the MSM government couldn't even protect people's data. And they dare claim that they would protect our people, our economy, and our dignity. In fact, Mr. Moustache sniffed his way through right from Bay Jacqueté to the PMO in Port Louis, and on the way ripping us off of our dignity. This is what had happened. Mauritians, many, are still unaware of what Mr. Moustache may have about them in his bag. Some people, after having faced the unforgiving defeat, may still be suffering from insomnia. And our Prime Minister, as we said, the moment he took office, he dismantled those equipment to return to Mauritians their serenity and the integrity of our digital networks. It's not the serenity of, what was produced earlier. It's the real serenity of our people. And in order to strengthen the foundational elements of our digital landscape, this budget provided for the disaster recovery side. And this will significantly boost our national resilience and ensure continuity of services. And this is yet another example where we're having to clean up the mess that was left behind by MSM government. And our focus, Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, is on citizen-centric services, which is being now reinforced. For example, for digital health. It's good that I mentioned to the House that the way the system was earlier designed, it wouldn't have added value to the patient's experience. It wouldn't at all. In fact, it would have created more frustration. But Honorable Bechu and myself are having to work very closely to again clean up the mess over there. And without fear, we are actually taking our time, but doing what is right for the people. In fact, those people who need medical services are already suffering from some kind of a problem. And our moral duty is to alleviate that pain, not to increase it. And this is why the Prime Minister is giving special attention to this project. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, it's good that I also speak about the information system at the Social Security, which has been there for more than 20 years now. And out of that system, and this has been mentioned in the Auditor General's report of 2024, there has been an overpayment of 187 million rupees in 2024. And in 2023, it was 134 million rupees. So which implied a 40% increase on overpayment of pensions. And that system, the information system which is being used, is still there. And it's thanks to that system that such a loss has been incurred, or such a waste, rather, I should say. So over the last 2 years, an amount of 321 million have been overpaid in pension. So, in other words, wasted. And you call this governing. 321 million rupees. I'm just trying to make it clear. And the previous government suffered from a serious lack of political will to address this unacceptable wastage of public funds. It seems it didn't really matter to them. Let me tell you, Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, for this government, every rupee, every taxpayer rupee matters to us. And every life matters as well. And here I would like to commend my colleague, Honorable Subron, for his courage to fight against this system, which is currently allowing waste of public funds. And it goes without saying that many digital services, in fact, today, as our people go to consume government services at different counters, they still need to queue up. And today, they are not able to effect payment but in cash. And that refers to an earlier point made by Honorable Bichuk at some point. Therefore, we are working on technologies that will allow online payment also for government services. And one clear example is the launch of the MVL system, which we did in collaboration with Honorable Mohamed. This MVL system has been totally revamped. A lot of people complain that when they go to government counters, they provide the information to the person attending the counter. But they have to produce the same information over and over again. Bring your birth certificate, bring your national ID, bring your photocopy of specific documents. I think when we are talking about digitalization, this should be behind us now. Therefore, this blueprint has a very clear concept of tell us only once, which implies that when you have provided your information to the government, you don't need to provide it a second time again. So as you use the MVL system, you would see that all your vehicle details already appear. You just use a few clicks and you make it happen. But that wasn't done earlier. That wasn't done because the focus was just to sign the contract. The focus wasn't to make sure that justice is done to the public funds and it is ensured that the public is able to benefit from what the digital revolution has to offer. And coming to cyber security, Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, as our digital footprint expands, there is a stronger need to protect our nation's data. This is why legal and regulatory reform is indispensable. My office is working very closely with the Office of the Attorney General to bring the legislations required or amendments to existing legislations. And over the past years, with respect to social media, a rising number of cybersecurity incidents have been registered. We've seen hate speech, we've seen dehumanizing language, and calls for violence. Our social media, Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, has today turned into a jungle. People are posting pictures they want. People are making comments that they want without even fearing anything. Only last year, there were more than 5,000 cases reported. I'm saying 5,000 cases reported. There may be many more that were left unreported. And we know that over the years, there has been only one conviction out of infringement of ICT Act. But every day, on a daily basis, we see language that is unacceptable, that is nearing illegality. There has been a very, very saddening laissez-aller on part of the MSM government. It was probably serving their purpose. It was probably serving their purpose. But now we are going to bring some method to that madness, and we will be working on legislation that will ensure that we are, while protecting the rights of expression of our people, that some languages are not used. The Enforcement of Cybersecurity and Cybercrime Act 2021 requires critical infrastructure entities to conduct regular IT security assessments, and this will be conducted. However, ensuring consistent compliance across various sectors may be challenging because of resource constraints. But we have a National Cybersecurity Committee that will be working on this issue, and changes to legislations will be recommended. We have also seen a lot of online harms that were committed. Everybody will remember the case that took place on Telegram, where a lot of nude pictures of minors were being shared. And that happened 2023, 2024. It was really saddening. Thanks to our colleague, Honorable Navar, actions were taken and there were arrests with the collaboration of the police. But here, CERT-MU is developing a national lexicon that will serve as a tool to identify language that is not acceptable. And there would also be the establishment of a cyber forensic lab for investigating incidents and to analyze digital evidence for cases that have been lodged with the police. And the mandate at the Data Protection Office is clear. It is to uphold the fundamental right to privacy, to ensure compliance with data protection laws, and to empower individuals with control over their personal information. There also is a lack of sensitization among the population with regards to their own data rights. People aren't well aware of what their data rights are. And there would be specific actions in that direction. So The Data Protection Act in Mauritius has not evolved over time, while the EU GDPR has evolved, so there is a gap. And there are a lot of private operators in Mauritius which are dealing with data of European citizens. Therefore, it becomes very important for us to work on what we call as the EU adequacy. This will encourage further investors to explore the land of Mauritius for their activities. Furthermore, the Data Protection Office is preparing a comprehensive guideline on artificial intelligence and data privacy to address AI governance and to address ethical considerations. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, we also have seen a lot of evolution in the telecommunications arena. And it has become very, very necessary now at this stage to review what we call as the licensing regime. And there has been a very strong need for reform. Just this morning, I was spending time with some operators in the telco sector. And they expressed their wishes to see the development take place. And I'm very pleased to announce that the blueprint makes provision for quite a number of changes in that space. The need for a reform in licensing regime has long been felt, and the ICTA is actively working on this. And talking about ICTA, it is important to note also that there is one project that we completed, and that project is about opening the space for satellite connection with the internet for our country to benefit from that. And talking about satellite, maybe I should remind the House that there was this satellite called MEASat-1, which was a nanosatellite project, for which 30 million rupees were spent, and out of which we got 15 images, which means that there were 2 million rupees that were spent per image. And finally, this satellite in éclaté. There is a pressing need, as we said, Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, for a licensing regime to be reviewed. And we are looking at the ICT Act 2001 as well, and the Electronic Transactions Act, together with the legal framework for MOPAS. Now, as a small island developing state, Republic of Mauritius is highly vulnerable to adverse effects of climate change. And we also see flash floods and intensifying or more intense cyclones coming our way. So I'm pleased to announce that this budget also supports what we call as a cell broadcast system. This system actually sends targeted and dedicated messages for people who are in a specific region where that region could be at risk of a flood or cyclone. So, and this we are doing for saving lives of people. The ICTA intends to also move progressively towards a unified licensing framework, as we mentioned. And here, engagements have started already for us to go that route. Now, there are two vital reforms that we need to bring at the back of the Freedom of Information Act. We need to modernize our open access policy. Therefore, we will be reviewing what we call as our open data portal. This is because there is a need to ensure fair and non-discriminatory access for all service providers to information. So the ICTA will be mandated to identify some actions with regards to the open data policy where they would need to also bring some input. Now, the next generation networks, Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, particularly with the rollout of 5G, will be very, very important for us in our digitalization efforts. So the ICTA will soon be releasing as well licenses for that to take place. And as we mentioned, for MOPAS, there are additional services that we're going to deploy, for example, the penal 2-point system, which has been discussed as well with Honorable Mohamed. Our Electronic Transactions Act, Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, will be reviewed as well to reflect the latest version of what we call as the UNICITRAL model law. This will allow our electronic documents for imports to be recognized from the ports from where goods are being shipped. Today, those documents are being sent manually, creating delays in shipping transactions to be concluded. Therefore, as soon as we bring these changes, there will be a reduction of several days for those shipping transactions to be concluded. And, Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, this budget, as we said, is not just a collection of isolated initiatives. It's a coherent and comprehensive strategy to reimagine Mauritius. Through our digital transformation blueprint and the policies backed in this budget, we are laying the foundation for a smart, sustainable and inclusive nation. And I would like to end here, but before ending, I would just like to talk a little bit about constituency number 10. It's a big constituency with 56,000 voters, but a huge or a vast majority of these voters have been suffering from defective roads, an acute problem of drug trafficking, disruption in water supply, and low-quality infrastructure. While I was very pleased to see the M4 project being announced for 2-3 years from now, the other problems remain. The problem mainly of water supply. But I know that we are actually with Honorable Asia Vadeng defining the plan for having water storage at strategic points that will be applicable to the constituency number 10 as well. But the problem of drugs remain a key issue. We are very often faced with mothers who are crying the loss of their children. And we would really want to see this drugs board being operational very, very soon. And we look forward to that. And on this note, I would like to conclude with just this statement. It is the vision, dedication, and the cooperation of our people, our public servants, private sector, and civil society together that can bring this digital transformation to life. And together we can build a Mauritius where every citizen, regarding of their age, income, or location, can access opportunity, realize potential, and contribute to the collective prosperity of our nation. Let us rise to this moment and let us build the digital bridge to the future. Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable Rukni, the floor is yours for the next 20 minutes.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, it is with unwavering determination that I rise today to speak in support of the budget 2025-2026. A budget that is not only defined by numbers, but by values. A budget that carries the imprint of compassion, responsibility, and the courage to act where others have turned a blind eye. Permettez-moi de commencer en rendant hommage à la vision et au courage du Premier ministre. Il a eu l'audace de poser la question que beaucoup évitaient. Comment garantir un système de pension durable sans trahir notre jeunesse et nos générations futures? Le tout en jetant les bases nécessaires pour le redémarrage des moteurs de notre économie. We stand at crossroads of economic renewal and social transformation. This budget is not merely an accounting exercise, but it sets the stage for the immediate, medium, and long term. We all have lived through a decade of decadence, wastage, pillaging of our nation's wealth, and probably worst of all, the loss of our freedom and alienation of our youth. The very day we set our foot in office, we started addressing each one of these issues. Phone tappings were stopped immediately. The DPP was given the sole prosecutorial powers. Institutions were made independent again, and they now function as they always ought to have been. Even the embassy is functioning. The embassy doesn't take any instruction from any politicians now. One may ask, but what all of this has to do with the budget? Well, it has all to do with the life of a country. A budget exercise is, as I said, not merely an accounting exercise. It sets the stage. Now, why is that important? The small country that we are, with limited natural resources, we are so dependent on FDI. And how do we get FDI, Mr. Deputy Speaker? Of course, our balance sheets need to look good. And looking good does not depend entirely on the reserves of US dollars that we have. As the leader of opposition was saying, looking good means how much we have now, how much we will have in the foreseeable future after having taken into consideration all our liabilities and after having made good accumulated budget deficits year on year. My dear friends on this side of the House have explained lengthily how the previous government have dug our deficits to unsustainable heights, how colorable devices have been used to hide the true extent of our liabilities, how they have criminally played with estimates, and we all know how the Director of Audit was abused thanks to Mustache leaks. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I will not delve further on this matter, as my friends have already explained lengthily at this. But I will lay my faith in our institutions to deal with the crimes the cronies of the previous government have done to this nation and to our generations. International financial institutions and nos bailleurs de fonds, they know well of these tricks of dubious governments. And that is why they lay a lot of credit on peer reviews, on credit rating agencies like Moody's. This is not news to the previous government, and certainly not to the previous Minister of Finance. And as explained yesterday by my friend Honorable Ramphel, this is why he hid the reports in his drawers that required of him to change our economic model. Because that was not to the tune he was of his liking. On avait crié sur tous les toits pendant la campagne que le pays allait mal. On voyait les milliards de largesses que le MSM faisait profiter aux proches de la cuisine. Et malheureusement, une fois au pouvoir, on n'a pu que constater que notre pays était dans un ICU économique. On a sûrement été naïfs, mais jamais on n'aurait pu croire qu'un ministre de Finances qui se respecte puisse fausser les chiffres afin de paraître moins mauvais que l'on était déjà. Monsieur le vice-président, ce pays a voté pour le changement. Ce pays a voté pour la rupture. Ce pays a voté pour la transparence. Ce pays veut d'un avenir meilleur pour tout le monde. Mais surtout, ce pays ne veut plus jamais qu'un gouvernement puisse lui rouler dans la farine. Au risque de me répéter, Monsieur le Vice-président, the previous government left behind a fiscal landscape akin to a war-torn battlefield. Over the past decade, we have witnessed a sinister pattern of fiscal irresponsibility. Last year, the deficit stood at a staggering 9.8% of GDP, with public debt soaring to 90%. But this is not just numbers. These figures translate into the daily struggles of our citizens, the unfulfilled dreams of our youth, and the eroding foundations of our social fabric. We all know how the value of our rupee got eroded. We know how for the first time Forex had vanished from the official markets. And yet, the leader of the opposition wants to spin doctor this problem, trying to convince the population that it is of our doing. Le peuple n'est pas dupe. Et elle vous l'a démontré lors des dernières législatives. Et nous avons une responsabilité collective, celle de ne pas allow them having a free run, de marteler cela dans la tête de la population. Du moins, moi, je ne vais pas le permettre. Remember in 2015, the previous government had promised the Mauritius of milk and honey. At the point, they had promised 2 jobs per person. And at others, they had promised de l'eau 24/7 when they were not busy doing KYC by looking in the eyes of people that had already been rejected by the Bank of Mauritius. Let alone 2 jobs, they've put this country down on its knees. And our people started emigrating at an unprecedented rate. It is now so rare to see our fellow Mauritians working in restaurants, on gas stations. IT companies find it difficult to set up in Mauritius, not because they don't want to, but because they can't recruit. And not because the universities in Mauritius haven't produced people with qualifications, but people with qualifications have left. The previous government was in a perpetual electoral campaign, giving away sweets every now and then. But that was only a screen, because the real ambition was to enrich themselves. And by themselves, it means all of their friends in La Cuisine. We have seen during COVID how their economy grew, whilst nous, le petit peuple, on a été contraints de souffrir dans le silence, quitte à ce que le ministre de la Santé alors faisait du coucou. Monsieur le vice-président, ce n'est pas souvent qu'un pays se retrouve face à son destin. Mais quand c'est le cas, ce n'est pas d'un politicien qu'il lui faut. C'est d'un homme d'État, un statesman. Dans leurs moments difficiles, l'Angleterre a eu Churchill, la France a eu De Gaulle, mon pays a eu son docteur Navin Ramgoolam. Épaulé par nos partenaires formant l'Alliance du changement, the statesman is not in an electoral campaign. Il redresse le pays. Today, Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, we have a government that is serious about turning the tide. This budget is a testament to our Prime Minister's commitment to rebuild Mauritius. It is a budget that speaks the language of fiscal consolidation while singing the song of social justice. Adjusting the age of eligibility to the basic retirement pension to 65 was not an easy decision, but it was the right one. A decision rooted in truth, in data, and above all, in justice, intergenerational justice. We have to be honest with ourselves. The current pension system is under immense pressure. And it has been so since 2014. Ce n'est pas nous qui le disons. Tous les experts s'accordent sur ce sujet. As a nation, we are living longer, retiring earlier, and placing greater strain on a system that was built for a very different time. Today, 55 billion rupees go to pensions each year, and the bill is an ever-increasing one. That's more that we can spend on educating our children, caring for our sick, or building homes for our families. Et pourtant, ce que nous faisons n'est pas un sacrifice, c'est une promesse tenue. La promesse de ne pas laisser exploser une bombe à retardement dans les mains de nos enfants. We are not dismantling basic retirement pension. We are saving it. We are not abandoning the elderly. We are targeting our support so that those who truly need it continue to receive it. That's why the Prime Minister went on to institute 2 committees, precisely to look at and ensure that nobody between 60 and 65 is left without a safety net. That people facing medical challenges will continue to receive support. And I'm sure new schemes will reinforce solidarity and dignity for our seniors. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I would like to say to those who are angry, we understand you. To those who are afraid, we hear you. And to those who feel forgotten, we are with you. We are not just putting a lid on fiscal chaos. We're laying the foundations for a long-term reform. By targeting a primary budget surplus and reducing public debt to 75% of GDP by the end of our mandate, we are restoring confidence. This budget is not a one-year fiscal plan. It is a generational charter. We are building. Let's look at the emphasis on economic renewal through innovation and investment. By establishing the National Research and Innovation Institute and allocating 200 million rupees for research, we are sowing the seeds of a knowledge-based economy. This is not just about creating jobs. It's about creating a future where our youth can thrive in an AI-driven world. We're investing 30 billion rupees in renewable energy over 3 years. This is not just about clean energy. It's about energy independence. And as regards the health sector, the Path to Remission program for diabetic and pre-diabetic patients is a proactive approach to tackling non-communicable diseases. With 450,000 citizens set to benefit, this program is a beacon of hope for those battling diabetes. By introducing a renewed social contract for education and allocating 438 million rupees for infrastructure improvement across learning institutions, we are ensuring that every child has access to quality education. And most importantly, my dear friend, Honorable Minister Ganga Prasad, will now be in a position to tell me when he will upgrade the schools in my constituency. Mr. Deputy Speaker, let me now turn to financial services. We are not just defending a sector. We are reinventing it. From fund administration to green finance, from fintech to AI-driven compliance, we are building a reputation-based, regulation-smart, and innovation-focused hub. Nous ne voulons pas être une simple juridiction financière. Nous voulons être un modèle d'intégrité, de technologie et de transparence. We are making Mauritius the most business-friendly destination in the region. And most importantly, we are building trust and certainty. No financial sector can be built without these. How do we achieve this? How do we tell the world that Mauritius is not about the law of the jungle, but it is a civilized state that will listen to you, not one that will shut you down in a cell because it listened to your telephonic conversations and it was not happy with what it heard. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, we have started this financial services re-engineering well before the budget exercise. It is being strengthened during these debates and will continue along the same lines with us in government. Ce que je veux dire, Monsieur le Vice-président, c'est que notre investissement dans nos services financiers ne s'arrête pas aux chiffres alloués au ministère des services financiers, mais elle s'étend aux efforts que nous faisons pour étendre la démocratie, pour renforcer l'émancipation de la femme, pour valoriser nos jeunes, pour combattre la drogue, pour améliorer nos réseaux routiers. Avant qu'un investisseur décide de s'implanter chez nous en substance, ce sont tous ces critères qui sont pris en considération et non pas qu'un faible taux de fiscalité. But how are we going to build trust and certainty if credit rating agencies such as Moody's downgrade us effectively? Wouldn't a downgrading mean that we can't be trusted to honor our obligations? How will we then convince investors to house their investments in our jurisdiction? Instruments like letters of credit that bear the same rating of the country where the banks are based will be of no value. How then the traders in Mauritius, people who do imports, will be able to have a value of their letter of credit? How will they be able to offer this to suppliers who will be very unwilling to accept these letters of credits? And when they are accepted, at what cost?
You have 1 minute to conclude, Honourable Member.
I will try to conclude. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, we have to be honest with ourselves. A downgrading will have dire consequences for all of us. The very moment our financial services start to slow down, the very youth that we want to protect will leave the country. The very youth that will tomorrow be productive so as to finance our future pensions will have to leave the country. That is why, Mr. Deputy Speaker, this budget does everything to maintain our credit rating on the international front so that we can maintain our status. Dans son discours, le leader de l'opposition a ricané disant que la réforme que nous menons signera notre mort politique. Il n'a rien compris. Il n'a rien compris. Combien de mamans ont envoyé leurs fils au front tout en sachant que des fils envoyés en guerre retourneront amputés, défigurés, traumatisés à vie? Mais la liberté n'a pas de prix. Et c'est pour cela que nous préférons partir au front aujourd'hui que de devoir enterrer nos enfants de demain. Monsieur le vice-président, quand il s'agit de nos enfants, on est tous d'accord pour faire tous les efforts qu'il faut, sacrifier nos voyages, sacrifier nos plaisirs, afin que nos enfants puissent avoir un avenir meilleur. Et c'est ce que ce budget demande de nous, c'est de protéger notre avenir, de protéger notre économie, de reconstruire notre nation. Ensemble, on peut le faire. Et dans les mots du Premier ministre, qui avait si bien dit, nous sommes devant un paysage en ruine. L'État a fait un naufrage, mais nous sommes prêts à reconstruire. Nous sommes prêts. Let us rebuild together. Thank you, Mrs. Speaker.
Merci.
Honorable Somtali.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir. At the very outset, I wish to express my profound appreciation to Honorable Prime Minister Dr. Navin Ramgoolam for his visionary leadership. Budget 2035 is not merely a fiscal plan. It is a national blueprint for transformation. It comes at a time when the global landscape remains uncertain, yet Mauritius stands resilient. This budget is anchored in a clear strategy to move away from a consumption-driven model towards one that is investment-led, innovation-focused, and productivity-enhancing. The budget is not merely a financial exercise, it is a declaration of intent of a country determined to rise. It introduces 4 poles de croissance in renewable energy, waste to wealth, the blue economy, and the creative industries, each serving as a growth engine for our future. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, allow me to structure my intervention in 4 parts. First, the mess we inherited from the previous government. Second, the hope offered by this budget of purpose, principle, and progress. Thirdly, the real change being delivered to my constituency number 10. And finally, a message of unity and delivery. Let's start with the first one, the mess we inherited. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, let us not sugarcoat it. What we inherited was a financial, institutional, and leadership mess, one that affected every household, businesses, and regions in Mauritius. It's like walking in a house that looked fine from outside, but once inside, we found the fridge empty, the roof leaking, the electricity bill unpaid, and the credit cards mass out. Worse still, the previous owners took out loans in our children's name. And now we are left to clean it up. Let me explain the numbers, not as an economist, but as a citizen, in plain and simple facts. Public debt had reached 642 billion. That is 9